fundamental attacks. And we're going to look at them kind of conceptually from position to position. Attacks in jiu-jitsu are way easier to wrap your head around if you understand the mechanics behind those attacks, and not as an individual, this is an arm bar from guard, this is an arm bar from mount, this is an arm bar from on my head. If you understand the mechanics of an arm bar, it's much more efficient to play that game across the whole of jiu-jitsu. If you understand the mechanics of a choke, you're going to understand how to make that squeeze from just about anywhere. So we're going to break these attacks down from different positions, and we're going to look at what makes them work and what makes them tick. Not a lot of craziness going on in the next 2 weeks, but what I really want to do is get everyone to the point where they're comfortable walking through these fundamental attacks, understand the biomechanics of it, understand how to apply them, how to set them up, and I think what you'll see is your submission percentage is going to skyrocket after we take some time back off of some of the high-end stuff that the purple belts or brown belts are working, and really just focus on this is what makes it work. So, starting off, we're going to work from the back and a back mount. Just a couple quick notes. We reviewed this right before the new year. Let's talk about it again. My feet are hooked, my laces are active, and they're biting into his quad. This is going to help me maintain control of his hips. I'm nice and tight on him. I'm not laying back. I'm trying to get my chest right up here. I'm going to bring one hand underneath, looking at my palm. The other hand's going to go over the top. I'm meeting my hands with my thumbs connected to my hands in the gable grip, folding them over. And instead of letting this drop down here, I'm trying to bring this right up in front of my face like I'm checking my watch. And I can see the time on that watch. That's going to connect me to him in a way that's going to allow me to move with him and work on taking the space away that he's giving me. So our first attack, super fundamental, is our rear naked choke. And this is the choke where you start to learn the mechanics of how you shut your carotid arteries up. This is not a choke that should be done at any point where he feels like I'm attacking his trachea. All the pressure, for those of you that are new, that your partner should feel, is on the carotid arteries, not the front of his throat. Take your time and set the position correctly. Quick note on the carotid arteries, they're not here on the side of the neck. I see a lot of people like focusing on like squeezing the side of the neck. This is all muscle. The carotid arteries are where we feel our pulse. So when we look to direct our squeeze, we're looking not at the direct side of the neck, but this angle, this little divot right in front of this muscle between the trachea on the center line and this muscle that runs on the side of the neck on each side. This is where you check for a pulse. This is where we're looking to build the mechanics to shut that off. The rear naked choke is a blood choke. It's designed not to attack his airway, but to take that blood flow and shut that blood flow off so that his brain's not being oxygenated. It's not pain compliance, it's not an attack on the airway, it's an entirely attack designed to keep the blood from getting to his brain. No blood, no oxygen, goes unconscious. So be very specific when you're applying these. So from our seatbelt position where I'm high and I'm connected high, I don't love to punch this arm out straight, kind of how it's always taught, like driving straight, because what happens when I punch this arm straight? Every time, he's going to know exactly what's coming. If he's been in jiu-jitsu longer than 30 seconds, he's going to look to defend it. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is kind of connect myself over the shoulder, and I'm looking to turn my hips a little bit. And I come from directly on center line to just off center line. I'm using my hooks, my hips, and my hand base to just put me in a little angle. From this angle now, I'm not punching forward, I'm just punching out. This way, in the direction that my finger's going from my grip, and I'm taking my bicep, and I'm lining my bicep up on the carotid artery. And it means it's much tighter. It means it's attacking the anatomy. It's lined up where I want it. From here, now, I should have my elbow just about in center line. So my elbow should be directly under his chin. That's going to lead me directly down the trachea. So I'm not pressuring the trachea. I have my bicep on his carotid artery on this side. This hand is going to squeeze in, this side of my hand, like bringing my thumb back towards my face. And I'm bringing my forearm in on the other carotid artery. If I have my position, I should be able to squeeze it almost in. See Jason getting ready to tap there? If my anatomy is lined up properly, it shouldn't take that much. Now, from here, I'm going to shift back to center line, nice and tight, because this is going to allow me to establish the next part of this, which is now I will punch not forward where he's going to get it, grab this hand, and now I'm going to fight. I'm going to kind of punch up. And from here, it's much harder for him to get this hand. This hand should be elevated right up by his head. Now, I'm going to bring my hand behind his head as much as I can. from here, you see a lot of people pulling and yanking. It's a very simple mechanic. I'm bringing my elbows together, and I'm bringing my submission here. What you'll notice is that if Jason's not in there, and I'm here, if I yank back, what changes about this little triangle, like his neck's here in this triangle, what changes with the space by yanking back? Not a thing. But as soon as I take my elbows, and I bring my elbows together, what happened to that little triangle? Yeah, it got smaller. That little triangle squeezes out. So now instead of just yanking his neck into that V, now I'm just taking that V, and by thinking about bringing my elbows together, and this is true of almost any kind of choke we put on from the rear, I'm taking the space away. Same concept for the guys that have been around a while, talking about the triangle, why we turn the foot the way we do. It's all designed to kill that space. And if we matched our anatomy to his anatomy the way we should have, it's the pressure from the lack of space that's going to take that away. In technique, I should never feel like I have to crank this back to set it. It should all be done.